oops, bows in here. So, and I'm talking sheep, but so the deal is about this research about sailors and aboard the USS Constitution at the time. And we certainly know that if you listen sort of to this excerpt from a recruiting notice, it says, "To all able-bodied and patriotic seamen who are willing to serve their country and support its cause, a glorious opportunity now presents itself to the brave and hardy seamen of New England to enter the service of their country, to avenge its wrongs, and to protect its rights on the ocean." So that's an excerpt from a recruiting notice, to join, to sign up for the War of 1812. It appeals to patriotic cause, right? It urges sailors to join the Navy, and we all know the reasons men joined the Navy during the war were as diverse as the individuals themselves. Need for a job, limited options ashore, advanced wages, old money, livelihood was interrupted, prize money, family tradition, friends were signing up, reputation of the captain, all of those things. Now, free black men during the early 19th century, shared those same motivations for joining. They also had limited options on shore, poor economic conditions brought about by racial prejudice that may have contributed to the desire to enlist, right? We talked about how, the separation of the waters, changes the experience of being black. And seafaring gave free black men more opportunities to earn a living wage, provide for their families, improve themselves, every inch a man, right, from Jeffrey Bolser's Black Jacks than any other history. So this story is of David Tobias, a story that we uncovered, who we found served on Constitution, but was captured as a runaway slave. And here he finds himself trying to plead his case in the South that he is actually not a runaway slave, but actually a free man who is served for the Constitution and for the United States Navy. I'm not a slave. I'm a free man. And if you listen to my story, you'll see. Maybe you'll send back to the War Department, get my papers, so I can become free again. You see, I was born in Boston on August 9, 1806, up on Belknap Street, up on Beacon Hill. That's where most of the black folks lived. And up there, they did all sorts of jobs. Some were cooks, some were housekeepers, some even worked for the newspaper. Now, my father, he was a chimney sweep. That was a lot of work for just a little pay. So, in 1814, he signed me on for the Constitution. I was only 9 years old. Guess he wanted me to make a little more money, help the family out, And so a sailor's life would be for me. I was kind of excited to be joining the Navy. I had heard that black folks had served in the military since the Revolution, and now I was joining the ranks. They gave me the role of boy, and my main job was to served for the shipmaster's mate. His name was Mr. Layton. I got his meals, I ran some errands, and all the while I was learning from the other men about life aboard the ship, setting the seals. Now I also was assigned to the number 7 carronade, where I had to move the gunpowder to the rack so they could load the cannons to fire the cannonballs. Now I had to do that job real fast, otherwise we'd all be dead. but I got pretty good at it. I was aboard Constitution when they engaged and eventually captured the Cyan and the Levant. I remember how my heart just started pounding when the commander yelled, "Silence!" And nobody moved. And we stood there for about 2 hours. All the other sailors kept patting me on the shoulder saying, "You'll be all right." But I wasn't afraid of it. And then all of a sudden, the commander gave the signal and hoisted the flags, and boom, cannonballs went flying everywhere. One hit right next to me, pretty near the gun, killed 2 men. But I wasn't afraid though. I just kept moving, shot to the rack so they could fire back to the other side. It was amazing. Captain made a couple of fancy moves. We took both ships at the same time. I had never seen something like that before in my life. But you know, they do call that ship Old Ironsides. She's a lucky ship, you know. We only had 3 men dead. So, they put me on the prize crew for the Levant. I was excited to be on the prize crew. I could earn a little more money, and I could travel and see the rest of the world. But wouldn't you know, we got recaptured and sent by the British and sent all the way to Barbados. And after a while, we were put on a schooner, brought back to Baltimore, and then eventually back here to Boston, back up to Boston, where I could see my family again. And you don't know how happy I was to see my family again, and how proud I was to give my dad the money I had earned. $6 for each month I served. Well, in 1821, I rejoined the Constitution. This time, we sailed the Mediterranean. I had never seen so many fascinating places like Algiers, Malta, and Naples. And then by 1824, since it didn't look like there'd be no more war, I left the Navy and joined the merchant fleet. I figured I could make a few more dollars and travel the rest of the world. So later on that year, we pulled into Mobile, Alabama. And I figures, as a free man, I could go out and walk where I please. So I started on my journey. And as I was making my way, I got stopped. And I got asked for my papers. And I said, I was a free man. I don't need no papers to show no master. And they arrested me as a runaway slave. So that's how I ended up here, in your courthouse, Your Honor, asking you to write down my story, send it back to the Navy to get my papers to prove I am a free man. You do believe me, don't you?